Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ekanga Sade Kiha Sade Bahuanga Nishta Khaila Upajaya Primera Taranga Eka, one. Anga, portion. Sade, executes. Keha, someone. Sade, executes. Bahu, many. Anga, portions. Nishtha, firm faith. Haile, if there is. Upajaya, awaken. Primera, of love of Godhead. Taranga, the waves. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Prabhupada. When one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. Purport. The 9 processes of devotional service are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. See text 121 of this chapter. Translation again. When one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. Hare Krishna. I'm very grateful that I can be in your presence, in your association. As we read now from this verse of Caitanya Caritamrta, it's Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 134. The chapter is titled The Process of Devotional Service. Yes, and I will repeat the translation of the verse. When one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. What is the message of this verse? Can you remember?
All services are the same.
All services are the same, yes. True.
That we can do anything like chanting or praying or trying to make friendship with Krishna, and that everything has the same value
Uh-huh.
to go on in the path.
To achieve what?
Achieve love of God.
To achieve love of God. Yes. So the goal is to achieve love of God. Yes. And what is the means in this verse to achieve love of God?
One of the processes, any of the processes.
Any of the processes, yes, but how performed? I didn't hear you.
One of 9 processes of devotion.
Sincerely, yes, but it's not mentioned here. If one is firmly fixed, yes, and which word is this here? Nishtha. Yes, when one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes for devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. That means here Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami tells us that Nishtha is prerequisite, that the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. So the main question is now how to become fixed in devotional service. So we should know what is the path of devotional service. We had yesterday a whole seminar on this topic, how to achieve nishta in our devotional service. Yes, because of nishta, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. Yes, so in order to achieve nishta, or firm and fixed devotional service, there is one prerequisite. In fact, this is prerequisite to start devotional service. What is needed for devotional service to start, for bhakti? Shraddha. Yes, Shraddha. And as explained by Jiva Goswami in Bhagavata-dharma, there are two types of Shraddha. So if we want to achieve the waves, as here says, Prema Taranga, the waves of love of Godhead, we should, of course, have pure devotional service, isn't it? So, and it's explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva-dharma and also in elsewhere, that whatever practice we have, so whatever sadhana we have, that goal we achieve. So in order to have prema as the goal, or pure devotional service as the goal, so our process or sadhana should also be pure devotional service. How is that? Because by definition, if you're sadhaka, if you practice sadhana, you're not completely pure, isn't it? So, Jiva Goswami states in Bhakti-sandarbha about these two types of faith we have. And one is called Laukiki Shraddha. This is what we hear from other people. And the other is Shastriya Shraddha, what we hear from Shastra. And this is important to know, because we can hear many things. And that's why Shastra declares that we should be inquisitive in many different places. Vedanta Sutra says, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now we should inquire about absolute truth. Yes. That means now. Not tomorrow, but now. That means every second of our life, because it is just ever lasting present. There is no future. Future never comes. Have you experienced future? We have never experienced future. And past is gone. We don't experience past. We experience just present. So, Atato Brahma Jigyasa means that we should inquire all the time, in fact. And also, Bhagavatam says in the second chapter of first canto, Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa, that we live for Tattva Jigyasa. And also, the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam says also the same. Etaman eva jigyasan tattva jigyasunatmana anvaya vyatirikabhyam yat sarvatra sarvada. Yat syat sarvatra sarvada. That means tattva jigyasa again. We should inquire and how anvaya vyatirikabhyam, directly and indirectly, about the absolute truth. And everywhere and in every time. in order to achieve our goal. So the Vedas don't support spiritual laziness. And this is characteristic of people in this age of Kali, to be spiritually lazy. Mandaksa manda matayo manda bhagya hupadirtaha. It says by sages of Naimisharanya that people are always disturbed and lazy. And so they asked Sutta Goswami, what is this one ultimate process to bring the ultimate good for all humanity? And what can bring the ultimate happiness of the living entity? Yanatma suprasidati. And Sutta Goswami answers this in second chapter, and he says, Savaipam samparo dharmo yato bhaktira dokshaje ahaitukiya pratihata yatma suprasidati. So, in order to achieve the ultimate happiness, because this is our goal, in fact, of every living entity, every hour of thought, every hour word, every hour deed is in fact searching for happiness. If we know it or if we don't. And of course this is our basic nature. As you all know that living entity is by constitution Satchitananda. So we search for being eternal, we search for knowledge, for to be enlightened, and we search for happiness, for ananda, and we cannot live without it. So if we identify with the body, we are always afraid because we want to be eternal, but nothing is eternal. And we also want this, our world around us, that bring us some satisfaction, that should last, that it's not temporary. So our goal is to be happy. Yes, and here Sutta Goswami says, not just happy. Prasidati means satisfied, happy. But suprasidati, this means ultimate happiness, complete happiness, perfect happiness, is achieved how?
In relationship with God.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
In relationship with God.
Yes, he said by ahetuki bhakti. Ahetuki bhakti. Hetu means cause. Ahetu means without cause or without unconditionally. That means unconditional bhakti, unconditional devotional service is the way to achieve suprasidati. Not just prasidati, to be satisfied, but suprasidati. But not this. This love should not be directed just to anyone, but to Adokshaja. Adokshaja is the Supreme Lord who is beyond our sense perception. This is Adokshaja. Aksha means eyes, and Adokshaja means beyond our perception, eye perception, and also other senses. So, yes, we can also, of course, have love for our family, our friends, our wife and husband, our children, our parents, and so on, to all living entities, of course. But we cannot have this love if we don't develop our love for Adokshaja, for Krishna. Yes, it's impossible. Otherwise, if you don't have this love for Adokshaja, for Krishna, as Kapila Muni says, in third canto of Bhagavatam, we create pritak bhava. Pritak means separate. Bhava means nature. So we identify as separate from the Lord. And since we identify as separate from the Lord, we want to put ourselves in the center. And we create our world around ourselves. And since everything is temporary here, we suffer this fear. We are always afraid. And this is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that we all suffer from 5 kleshas. He states 5 kleshas. We usually know kleshas as adhyatmika, adibhautika, adidevika. But he defines differently, according to Shastra also, as avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. Avidya means, of course, ignorance. And because of our ignorance, we identify with something we are not, with this body. And because we identify with the body, we have this pritak bhava, this separate identity from the Lord, we create our own world around ourselves, and we put, of course, ourselves in the position of God. What is the position of God? Control. To enjoy. Yes. What? Friend to everyone. Yes. This is explained in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shanti richati. So the God is one who is bhokta, who is enjoyer of everything. So we put ourselves in the center and we want to enjoy things around ourselves. So and sarvaloka maheshwaram says. So he's the Lord of everything. He's proprietor of everything. So we want to own things and yes, and to enjoy things. Of course, we are not able to protect this our position because everything is temporary, and that's why Krishna says also in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Yehi sansparshasha bhoga dukkha yona evati andyantavantah kanta natesharamati buddha. That if one is intelligent, he would not strive to enjoy these material things, because they will bring us misery. The one thing that brings us enjoyment will bring us misery. Why? Why is that? Because of attachment. Yes. Any other idea? It's true. Yes.
Beginning and an end.
Yes, it has a beginning and an end. Adi, the beginning, and Anta, the end. Yes. And anyone who is sane, he doesn't want to that thing that brings him happiness, that it's temporary, that it ends, because we want everlasting happiness. So this is important to know, and in order to achieve this the highest goal in life, to be suprasidati, to achieve the waves of love of Godhead, as he has here, Primera Taranga, we have to have pure faith. And according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are two characteristics of faith. And one characteristic is, of course, that we believe in Shastra. We said that we have two types of faith. One is Lokiki Shraddha, that what people are talking, and the other one is Shastriya Shraddha. So Lokiki Shraddha, of course, is not recommended. There is one story about the marriage ceremony. And there was a marriage ceremony in India, and some cat was running around and making mess. And then the mother of the bride caught the cat and put it under the pot to not disturb the ceremony. And then when the next generation came and have marriage ceremony, they remembered that the mother put the cat under the pot. So they desperately searched for the cat to catch it and put it under the pot. There was no cat around, but they were certain that they have to have cat in order the marriage to be auspicious. So they searched all around for a cat that they would catch it and put under the pot. This is Lokiki Shraddha. It has nothing to do with auspiciousness, but they believe that it is so. And there are two characteristics of pure faith. And first is that we, of course, we believe what is in Shastra, and that is divine origin. And the second is that we are very much enthusiastic about the achieving of the goal. Why? If we have faith, of course we are enthusiastic. For example, if I would say you that if you do this and this, in 1 week you'll have 20 million francs. And if you would believe me, you would very enthusiastically do whatever I would say. Isn't it true? Just in 1 week, 20 million francs. Isn't it a good deal? Yes. And if you really believe me, you would very enthusiastically execute whatever needed to get 20 million francs. So, if you really believe in Shastra, we are very enthusiastic to achieve the goal. If we are not enthusiastic, that means that our Shraddha is very weak, or there is no Shraddha, in fact. Yes. So there should be Shastriya Shraddha, which is expressed by enthusiasm. Yes. And then, of course, to further proceed towards Nishtha, as it says here, that Nishtha is prerequisite for the ways of love to awaken. We should always seek guidance of advanced devotees. Yes, sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha. Of course, it means also initiation by guru. Guru padashaya tasmat Krishna diksha adi shikshana Vishram bena guruk seva sadhu vartmanu vartanam. Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Yes. So, according to this devotee association, we proceed in our sadhana firmly. Yes, and Rupa Goswami explained this process in Upadeshamrita. First, he explained who is bona fide guru, that he can tolerate different this how to say pushings of tongue and speech and mind and anger and belly and genitals and so on. And then he explains what is detrimental for devotional service. And he says, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpaniya magraha janasanga shalolem cha shadbir bhaktir vinashati. Vinashati means destroys. That means 6 items destroy our devotional service. The first one is atyahara. Ahara means eating. Atyahara means overeating. Or also can mean over collecting things. That means, of course, that as we have said before, we have this pritak bhava, and we want to make our world perfect, secure. So we collect things or overeat because we are not satisfied in our heart. So we need something to bring us some satisfaction. And that's why the holy places of modern world are what? McDonald's. Yes, and shopping centers, because people are empty, and they are convinced that if they get things that will satisfy them. So, yes, atyahara, over collecting, that we miss the point. What will really bring us this suprasidati? Yes. Atyahara prayasa. Prayasa means over endeavoring for material achievements. Yes, in the same. We are certain that we will last forever in this world. So we want to create our environment as good as possible. Prayasa. Prajalpa. Prajalpa is very detrimental for our spiritual progress. What does it mean, prajalpa? Sorry?
The quack of the frog.
Yes. In fact, it's gossip. That we always gossip about other people. And if you hear the talk of ordinary people, they're just gossiping all the time. In fact, I heard one bishop from South America, because gossiping is also, I believe, is counted as sin in Christianity. So one bishop from South America, he wanted to remove this from sins, this gossiping, because he said it's impossible to avoid gossiping. Everyone just gossips all the time. So that shouldn't be counted as a sin. Yes, and but it is very detrimental, in fact, for our spiritual progress, gossiping. So prajalpa is counted among these 6 most vicious items for our devotional service. And then is niyamagraha. Niyamagraha has 2 phases. One is that we stick to the rules without considering them properly, without knowing why. For example, mundane example, if the state of usually is is keeping this niyamagraha. If we go through the red light during the night where there is no one on the street, we get fined if the police catches us. This is some kind of niyamagraha. Not this red light is not meant for safety, but just for the red light's sake. Understand? This is niyamagraha. One side of niyamagraha. And of course, for example, if we worship the deities and our spiritual master comes in, and if we don't pay attention to him, just worship deities this is also niyamagraha, because we should immediately attend to our spiritual master. And other phase of niyamagraha is to whimsically follow the rules. Sometimes we follow, sometimes we don't, according to our whims. So we should, with other words, we should know why we follow something or why not. This is important. Yes. Otherwise, it destroys, says by Rupa Goswami, our bhakti. We are just ritualistic. Yes, this is danger, in fact, to be ritualistic and not knowing why we do things in devotional service. And then is jhana sangha. That means association of materialists. Of course, we all know that the birds of the same feather flock together, is the proverb. For example, if we associate with drunkards, we will start to drink ourselves also. Isn't it true? Yes. And if we associate, for example, with alpinists, we will also start to climb mountains, because otherwise we will be bored to death. They will discuss, we went there and there, and we climbed this and this. So, of course, we will start to climb also, if we keep association of the alpinists. So, if we keep association of materialists, they will influence our consciousness. And we are, of course, very vulnerable, because we were materialists before. This is the proof that we are in the material world, life after life. So if we keep material association, this will definitely influence our consciousness, and we will preach ourselves. We shouldn't be such a fanatic. So we should be very diligent to avoid unnecessary material association. Yes. And lowlyam, greed. Greed is also detrimental for our devotional service. Yes. To be greedy for material things. And this is also connected with this Pritak Bhava and creating of our world. Because from this asmita, we said before 5 kleshas, and we didn't explain them to the end. Because of avidya, we identify with material body, and because of this identification with material body, and we create our world, and we love things that support our world, that protect this world, that the things that create happiness in our life. We love them, and this is raga. We are attached to them. And we hate things that destroy our world. And this world is, of course, our body, our mind, our family, our nation, our culture, our language, um, and other things. Our football team, for example. And we hate everything that is potentially destructive for our world. Other cultures, neighbors, other living beings, mosquitoes, the football club from another town. Yes, and they fight among themselves, isn't it true? These football fans. Yes. And this is called dvesha. We tend to hate everything what potentially endangers our world. And because of this is abhinivesha, fear of losing our existence or losing our world. And that means our existence, in fact. So basically this fear of death. Yes. And more we are engrossed in this consciousness, more we are afraid. Yes. So, and this lowlyam, as says by Rupa Goswami, is meant to establish our world firmly. This greed. And then there are 6 items that are very beneficial for devotional service. And this utsaha nishchaya dharyat tat tat karma pravartanat sanga tyagat satovrite shadbir bhakti prasidyati. And the first thing is utsaha. What is utsaha? Enthusiasm. Yes, enthusiasm. And we said at the beginning that this enthusiasm is based on what? Shastriya Shraddha. Yes, Shastriya Shraddha. If we have this Shraddha, we'll be enthusiastic. So, if we start to lose our enthusiasm, this is a very dangerous sign. So, we should be very aware of this, of our enthusiasm, because this means we are losing faith. We are losing faith. Yes, enthusiasm. Very important. And in order to feed our enthusiasm, we should have some mission in life. Because if we just come to the association of devotees, chant a little bit, honoring prasad, and have nothing, in fact, no mission in our life, nothing to be dedicated to, then we'll start to lose our faith also. It's difficult to keep our faith without any mission. So this mission is very important. And this mission comes, if we are not ordered by our spiritual master to have some mission. We can also have mission, and this mission comes with ashram, if not otherwise. For example, brahmachari, his mission is to study very diligently Shastra, to understand and to give later on this knowledge to other people. So, of course, our mission is always Vaishnava Seva, Namaruchi, and Jivadaya. First, to develop taste for the holy name, for devotional service, and to serve the devotees, and to give this what we have received from Guru and devotees to other people, this mercy of the Lord. Yes. So our mission is for brahmacharis to very diligently study the Shastra. And for Grihastha, his mission is to make his family devotees. It says said by Rishabhadev in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Guru na sasyat svajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat charani na sasyat, devyam na tatsyan na paticha sasyan na mochayat yasamam pita mrityum. If you're not able to deliver from this world those who are dependent on you, you shouldn't become a guru or a husband or a father, mother, or even a relative. We shouldn't become a relative if we cannot deliver those who are dependent on us from material world. Yes, or even deity. We shouldn't become a deity. So, if we have deities that cannot deliver us from material world, we shouldn't put them on the altar. Yes. The foremost duty of a grihastha, this mission of a grihastha, should be to make his dependents devotees. Yes, and this is not easy. This is not easy. According to my observation, it's easier for young boy or girl to become a devotee if he's interested or she is interested in some spiritual topics from non-devotional environment than from if the parents are devotees. This may be shocking to hear. But why do you think it's like this? Please.
Because it's like when your mother is teacher, you can't take some knowledge from her because you understand her in another position, not like teacher in the school. So when you you need another teacher who can give you knowledge, and it's very difficult to give it from this close relationship.
Yes, also this is important to know. Yes, we homeschool our children, so we know. I know this that it's sometimes difficult to teach your own children because you have different roles and so on. But there is some other aspect very important.
Maybe because it's so beautiful that we don't want to go out of this material world, because the surrounding is so peaceful and beautiful.
Yes, this is also one interesting aspect. Okay, is any other thought? If the parents, devotee parents, are not really fixed in devotional service, as it has here, firmly fixed, then they tend to catch their rounds all over the day. And what is the problem with this? Because then the children who want to be happy, isn't it? Because we said that we are Ananda Mayobhya Sat, as says Vedanta Sutra. By constitution, we are happy. We are Ananda. We want to achieve Ananda. And if we see that the spiritual life for the parents is burden, we don't want this. We don't want to be burdened, because burden is not happiness, isn't it? The burden is something unwanted. So if the children see that the parents are burdened by spiritual life, they will hardly become devotees themselves. At least for until they think very deeply about it. But the first reaction is, I don't want to be burdened. I don't want this. So the parents should be very, very enthusiastic about devotional service. To put their sadhana on first thing, before everything else in this world. Then they will believe, yes, my parents believe what they do, and they are happy in devotional life. They're not burdened in devotional life. So and also other things, that we don't seek some satisfaction outside of Krishna consciousness. This also is indication that we don't believe that devotional service alone can bring us happiness. Yes, because as Krishna says, it brings misery. And it also says in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Veda dukkhatmakam kaman. The devotee knows that sense enjoyment brings dukkha, misery. So if we seek some satisfaction outside of Krishna consciousness, this is a sign for a child that we should seek some satisfaction outside of Krishna consciousness. That Krishna consciousness alone is not enough for me to be satisfied, to be happy. Yes. So enthusiasm is the key for ourselves. And for Grihastha, we said this mission is to make our dependents devotees. For Vanaprastha, the mission is to get free from this entanglement and to deepen his dependence on Krishna. Yes, and also to give others his experience and so on. And for sannyasi, the mission is just to give everything to people. Yes. Okay, with this mission, we'll keep our enthusiasm very alive. If we have always some mission in our life. Without mission, it's very difficult. Yes. Utsaha nishchaya. Nishchaya, what is nishchaya? Steadiness. What is it? Determination. Dharyat is determination, that we're very, and patience. Patience and determination. Yes, and steadiness. Yes, this is all acquired for devotional service. Utsaha, Nishcha, and Dharyat. All three. That we are enthusiastic and patient and determined. If you are not determined, we'll be enthusiastic for a day or two, or maybe a week, or maybe a year, but then we'll lose enthusiasm. Yes, so we should be determined and patient. Tat karma pravartanat. That means we are engaged in devotional service. Always engaged in devotional service. Yes. And this is called bhajana kriya. And we, of course, should tend to achieve steadiness in bhajana kriya. Nishtita bhajana kriya, not anishtita. Yes. And this nishta in bhajana kriya, in devotional service, one of the most important things is to listen, to hear. And by hearing, Krishna will clarify from our heart all abhadrani. It says, Shrimvatah svakatah Krishna, punya shravana kirtana, hridyantah stohya abhadrani, vidunoti suhritsatam. That if we hear about Krishna very seriously and sincerely, Krishna, who is living in the heart, will purify our heart. It's not in our strength to purify our heart. It's completely impossible that we can purify heart on our own. Krishna says in 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Devi Hyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eva Ye Prapadante Maya Metam Tarantite. That this energy of mine is insurmountable, in fact. It's very, very difficult to overcome it. In fact, it's impossible, because we have no means to overcome it. We have these material senses, and material mind, and material consciousness, everything material. It's not the tool that we can penetrate in the material world. Till when we have class?
Some days always a little bit more flexible.
A little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually
Usually it is till 9?
I mean, yeah, till 9 is okay with questions.
Okay. Yes, so it's impossible to overcome material nature by our own efforts. And Krishna says, Mam eva. Eva means certainly, without doubt. Mam eva ye prapadanti. Those who surrender to me can overcome it. So, and in this verse of from Bhagavatam, he says that he cleanses our heart from all unwanted things, from all abhadrani. Hridyantaksto hyabhadrani, vidunoti suhritsatam. Yes. And bhakti is so powerful because we are talking about nishta bhakti, firmly fixed in devotional service, in order to what? To achieve pure love of Godhead. Prema taranga, the waves of pure love of Godhead. Yes. And bhakti is so strong that we need not to be cleansed completely. And it says, Nashta prayeshva bhadrashu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavatuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Naishtiki means nishta bhakti. Yes. So, nashta prayeshva bhadrashu. Even before we are completely purified of all this abhadreshu. By what? By nityam bhagavata sevaya. Yes. That means that we always hear from Srimad Bhagavatam and serve the devotees, pure devotees of the Lord. So this devotee association is also crucial, because by devotee association we will understand the importance of hearing Bhagavatam and of course chanting of the holy names and so on. Yes. Tatat karma pravartanat. Sangat yagat, that means that we give up material association. And sato vritahe, that we keep association of saints, yes, of saintly persons. Yes, this is very important, to keep association of advanced devotees, because then we will tend to be to imbibe their character, and their way of seeing things, because they are Shastra Chakshu. That means they see world through the eyes of Shastra. Yes, and we of course have to have Shastriya Shraddha, not Lokiki Shraddha, Shastriya Shraddha. Yes. So by this devotional service and hearing Bhagavatam regularly and service to the devotees regularly, we achieve Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. That means firm devotional service. Yeah, by which the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. So I will stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. Is there anything anyone would like to discuss? Any question or comment?
Just curious, because you spoke about Nishta yesterday,
Yes.
and that verse came coincidentally? Or
It looks like
okay.
you wrote me that I should speak on this verse.
Yeah, I just realized it now when I came.
Yes.
It was not chosen.
Yes, it's coincidence. Nothing is coincidence, in fact. Maybe Krishna wanted me to deepen this knowledge about firm devotional service, fixed devotional service. Yes, it's interesting. Yes, please.
You mentioned how it's easier for non-devotee kids to join. Sometimes they feel more attracted, and you made the point that parents, they should make sadhana the first priority.
Yes.
If they, basically what I understood is they have to be happy devotees, right?
Yes.
In order to inspire their kids.
Yes.
And not feel burdened.
Yes. Exactly.
So how, I'm just wondering, practically, either you are very strong devotee in your sadhana, but then what happens if you are overwhelmed by circumstances? Let's say you have so many obligations and things go topsy-turvy, then how do you deal with this?
Yes, this is a usual question. Thank you very much for this question. It's really important to know. One thing is, of course, to be wise in your material life, so-called material life. We shouldn't have material life, in fact, but to organize our life that we are not too much burdened by our job and so on, and other things. And the other thing is to keep high enthusiasm always, to have to complete our sadhana before the day begins. Yes, this may sound very difficult, but it should be our mission. Because anything we want to achieve in this world, it's not easy. If you want to be Olympic gold medalist, we have to train very hard, and we should give up many things. But of course, this is a temporary goal, and it's useless. in itself. But our goal is not temporary and it's not useless. So we should be much more enthusiastic than the sportsmen who want to be Olympic gold medalist. Because prima taranga, as he has here, is much, much, much more valuable than gold medal in Olympic Games. So we go for the highest thing. So we also should be wise enough to be serious in this process, very serious, and that's why Rishabhadev said this, that one should not become a father or mother or husband or guru if he's not able to deliver their dependence. Yes, because it's a great responsibility. So if we are not certain that we can deliver our dependence, then that means that we shouldn't have dependence. Yes. If we are responsible enough. Yes, this is ideal. But even if some turmoil comes in our life, that we cannot fulfill our determination in this way, it should be just temporary thing, not constant. If it's constant, that means that we should change our way of living. Yes, and if it's just something for a day or two maybe, then everyone will understand that it's just some emergency came. But not that we live in emergency all the time. That means that we are not intelligent enough to make our life more simple. That's the, in fact, instruction of our spiritual masters, to make our life as simple as possible. For example, Jayadvaita Maharaj said that we should keep our expenses as close to zero as possible. Yes, and it's true. Then life is much simpler. If we keep our expenses as close to zero as possible, that means we don't burden ourselves unnecessarily. Because life is burdensome, if you want it or not. But if we put more burden on our head, then it's even heavier. By making expenses for, I don't know, expensive holidays, or I don't know what, or even holidays outside of Krishna consciousness, in fact. It's just a burden. It's not, doesn't bring real satisfaction to the heart. Not for ourselves and not for the children. It's just some imagination. Yes. So we should be intelligent enough to organize our life as simple as possible. As simple as possible. And keep our expenses as close to zero as possible. Okay? Is it good? You received your answer?
Yeah, what I understood is that I remember Prabhupada, I think, said we should mold our life in such a way that we can always remember Krishna. So he sometimes used this term, mold our life. We have to, like you said, be intelligent enough to organize.
Yes, yes. That means we should not be just a toy of the circumstances. We should put Krishna in our center of our life, not material idea of happiness, because we tend to put this material idea of happiness in the first place in our life. We should have big house, good car, great car, and go to vacation, I don't know, on the other side of the world, in order to be happy. So if we have this idea, we'll certainly be burdened too much. But if we live simply, that's why Prabhupada said, simple living, high thinking. Without simple living, there is very little possibility of high thinking, because we don't have time to think highly. So simple living is the solution for many things. Yes, we should keep our life as simple as possible. Hare Krishna. Is there any other question or thought? Please.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for this interactive class. I'm wondering, you said the duty of a grihastha is to deliver his relatives, and the duty of a brahmachari is to read the shastras, to study them.
Yes.
So my question is, sometimes we can't even define if we are brahmachari or grihastha, because many are, those who are living in the temple, they are brahmacharis or brahmacharinis, and those who are family, they are grihasthas, but there's in Kali Yuga also this in between, like
Yes,
alone,
yes.
flat. Many have this situation. So what is the duty then?
Yes, it's interesting. It's true. Many are living like this in Kali Yuga. Bhakti is paramasvatantra. It's completely independent. That means that bhakti does not depend on our material circumstances. So we can, of course, practice bhakti in any circumstance we are in, even if we are animals, as exemplified by Bharat when he was deer, and even if we are demons, like Chitraketu when he became Vritrasura. So even if we are not in any ashram, we can still have some mission in our life. Of course, we should have mission in our life if we want for our bhakti to be alive. I don't know if the tendency of this single person is to marry. He should, of course, get married and not be single anymore. But if this is not his priority in life, he should dedicate his life to preaching also, like Vanaprastha. If he's not living with family, that means he have enough time to preach. And of course, he hasn't acquired knowledge yet, he should study. So first we should study, and then we should preach. Yes. So even if we are alone, We should also keep, of course, our life very simple. If you are serious devotees, because Krishna says in 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Mayeva manadatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivashishyasi mayeva ata urdhvam samshaya. That means we should absorb our mind in Krishna, and we should devote our intelligence and consciousness to Krishna, and in this way we'll always live in Krishna without any doubt. But that means samadhi. But if we are not able to do this, atachetam samadatum nashaknoshi maistiram abhyasa yogana tato mami chaptam dhananjaya. That we should devote our life to abhyasa yoga, to practice our consciousness. If you want to be good in playing some musical instrument, we should practice and practice and practice. So, in order to achieve some success in bhakti, we should also practice and practice. And by this, mami chaptum dhananjaya, you will develop desire to achieve me. Yeah, icha means desire, great desire to achieve the Lord. So even if we live alone, we should devote our life to practice, to sadhana. Yeah. We have more time than grihastas, and more time than brahmacharis usually. So we should study and give this mercy to others also. Okay? Hare Krishna. Is there any other point you would like to share? If there is not, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakti